at GDC 2015. Woo! We want to get started before Phil drinks too much. It is awesome to have each and every one of you here. It's an honor. As I look out the room, there's so much talent in here that I hope we all just take some of that energy. In the past, well, first of all, I'm Tina Wood-Summerford. I'm the Director of Programming at 343 Industries. Woo! We make Halo! And Bonnie and Kiki have something to do with that as well. So, in the past, we've handed out awards. And awards are great, but we took feedback from you guys last year, and you said you wanted to see more content. So we're going to build on that theme. We've got 4 short talks brought to you by 4 really inspiring women, all on the same theme of the awards. We've got Colleen talking about Rising Star. We've got Abby and Amy talking about innovation, and we have Robin talking about ambassadorship. So really excited. So hopefully you all walk away being a little bit smarter today, for sure. And before we get to that, we're going to roll in a video because awards are important. A lot of women in here have made a great impact on this industry, and we want to take a moment and sort of reflect back and showcase some of the awesome women. So let's take a look at the past Women in Gaming Award winners. Well, that is one awesome group of women who've made such an impact, and now we want to embarrass them because they're halfway through eating to stand up so we can just cheer for you and admire you and thank you for the impact that you have made for women in gaming and tech. Thank you. So fantastic and so inspiring. They're not the only winners in the room. Well, we're all really winners, but like winners. We did a contest called Are You a Game Changer? And we sort of put this out to all the female students around the world. and send us a photo with a picture of how you're a game changer. And the 21 students from around the world are here with us today, which means we have to be really nice to them because we will all work for them someday. So please stand up. We would love to give you all a round of applause as the 21 winners. Woo! So these young women are really helping to continue to pave the way, and it wouldn't be possible without Megan Scavio, who is the GM of GDC. So Megan, please stand up. She gave the tickets. Not only are they getting to come here and get a VIP table for this luncheon, but they're getting all access passes to GDC, which is just so awesome. So thank you, Megan. Megan is right there. I'll point to Megan. Sincerely appreciate that. So without further ado, I think we'll start getting into the talks. And first up, we have Colleen Macklin. A lot of you know Colleen. She's just awesome. She's just, everything about her is awesome. She's super smart, too. She's going to be doing a talk about, what are you going to do a talk about here? You're going to do a talk about Rising Star. You're going to focus on some students, people that are early in their career.
I'm not sure.
But wait, let's talk about what you are the associate professor. I had to write it down because it's long. The associate professor in design and technology. We're supposed to stand in the middle of it.
Oh, okay.
At Parsons School of Design in New York City, and she's also the co-director of Pet Lab, where they do social experiment games and experimental learning. It's awesome. So here's Colleen. We're looking forward to it.
Woohoo! I just wanted to raise a glass of water or Chardonnay or whatever you might have and just say cheers, everybody. Yes, we're here. This is great. I also wanted to finish my wine. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, Microsoft. I think we're all really happy. The food is amazing. I love that salad. It has flowers in it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to talk about. I am going to first come out of the closet. No, not that closet, not that closet. I came out of that one a long time ago, and I threw away the key. Haven't been back in there in a while. No. I am going to come out of the closet as a complete and total imposter. All right, I may play a game designer on TV, and in real life, I play a game designer. What I mean is, I'm a complete and total noob. Okay, so Rising Stars, I consider myself like just about there where you guys are. I haven't been making games for very long. It's really been less than a decade. And I really kind of, standing up here today, I feel a little bit like I don't belong here, right? I don't even know if I belong at GDC. In fact, I don't know why they let me step foot in San Francisco. Like, I don't have a venture capital understanding of anything. I mean, I've made games, but you've probably never heard of them. They're like little fleas on the backs of the blockbuster stuff that you guys are doing, except in a couple of weeks. When the metagame comes out, everybody, you can get it on Amazon in a couple of weeks. The metagame, social card game. If you like Cards Against Humanity, you might like the metagame. Okay, sorry, shameless plug. But really, me being up here, I mean, is a little bit like Taylor Swift moving to New York City and being ambassador of New York City. I feel a little bit like that. You can see a theme to the slides here. Before you start thinking, oh, this is one of those talks where the speaker does this self-deprecating thing, and they're like, you know, doing this for effect. It actually is true. Like, when I was asked to give this talk, usually I'm the MC at these events, and I love doing that. I love doing my Ellen DeGeneres impersonation. But when I was asked to give a talk, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I can say to these amazing people who have done such incredible things. So I really have no business being up here. But before you start to ask for a refund for your free lunch, let me try to make the next 4 or 5 minutes count here. Let me do what I can to make this meaningful. Now, to explain myself. As you know, I started making games less than 10 years ago, as I just mentioned, about 8 years ago, in fact. So Rising Stars, I consider myself to hopefully be one of you. That's not a really long time. I'm 80 years old. And so, you know, started kind of late in my life. People my age probably have closer to 20+ years of experience. If you're Brenda Romero, you might have 107 years of experience. But I don't, and I'm definitely not close to those 10,000 hours they talk about that you need to be an expert in a field. I probably have only clocked about 100 and something. I do have a question about that 10,000 hours thing, though. How many hours did it take the experts who came up with the 10,000 hours to come up with the 10,000 hours idea? I don't know. Did it take them 10,000 hours? I don't know. This is a good one. This is a scary one. So what have I been doing over the last 20 years? Well, you know, I worked in advertising. I made banner ads. Everybody loves those. I pushed pixels around. I DJ'd. I did visuals for rave parties. Sometimes I still DJ if I get the chance. I gave tours at the Ohio State Fair. Yes. Any Ohioans out here? Yes! What's round on the ends and high in the middle? Ohio, hint. And then I answered this ad in the Village Voice that was like a free paper, actually, in New York City. And it was for a minimum pay job to assist teachers in teaching technology to young students at Parsons. And that was 21 years ago. And today, I'm still paid about $8 an hour to teach young students at Parsons how to use technology and make things. And I have to say, it's my 41st semester this semester, and I've never been happier in my life. Yeah, it's such a thrill to have the opportunity to work with people who have new ideas, who influence my choice of wardrobe, and help me stay up to date on all the cool music out there and other things. But I have to say, I haven't felt as happy as I do today in the beginning. In fact, in the beginning, I felt super self-conscious. I really did feel like, what am I doing in front of this classroom? What do I have to say? I'm by no means an expert in anything. I can give you a tour of the Ohio State Fair, but that's about it. So I kind of felt like I stole something that was meant for someone else. In fact, I feel like I'm stealing this spot at the stage sometimes. Or like I'm Peeta Mellark at the end of the first Hunger Games. It's like I lucked out somehow by just latching myself onto really amazing, talented people like all of you. Now, I love this one. This feeling actually has a name. Does anybody know what this feeling is called? Yes, imposter syndrome. Yeah. In fact, it's a psychological phenomenon. It's actually, you know, this is the name for it. And the psychologists who found it actually found it prevalent among high-achieving women. Interestingly enough, the psychologists who came up with this were also highly achieving women. Go figure. All right, so here's the thing, and I spent some really solid time researching this on Wikipedia. Traditionally, this is perceived as an ingrained personality trait. It's like there's something wrong with you. Maybe you were raised too humble or you know, something like that. But actually, over the last several years, it's been found that it's a reaction to the situation that you're in, more than it is something coming from you. So this feeling of being an imposter actually has roots in the environments that we're in. I wonder what kinds of environments those might be. Anyway. This is my favorite one. So I've wrestled with this imposter syndrome for most of my life, you know, whether it was as a young professor or, you know, just starting out in games and feeling like, oh my God, I'm not worthy. What am I doing here? I don't even know why I was invited. So I wonder actually how many of you out there have wrestled with this in your life too, or may wrestle with it today. I don't know. Yeah. So I was thinking that you don't have to come out to the whole room like I just did, right? That's like, I've had a lot of practice. But it might feel better if you do come out to someone. So we're going to take a moment here. And you're going to look at the person next to you. It could be to your left or right. And I'm still learning to design games, so I don't know, left, right? Do I have to specify that? I want you, if you've ever felt like an imposter, if you feel like one today, I want you to come up with your own signal, okay? It could be like a subtle wink. It could be saying, I'm an imposter. It could just be a smile and a psychic message, okay, to the person next to you. Again, I'm just learning this game design thing. So I want to take a moment. I want you guys to look to the person next to you and come out as an imposter if you'd like. And as I said, it can be as subtle or overt as you want. So let's go. Let's do this real quick right now. All right. Okay, all right. Whew. For some reason, I'm seeing a lot of like flying. Nice. Ooh, glasses. Oh, yeah. All right. Here we go. So, okay. Wow. So how many of you out there didn't, not necessarily did you come out, but how many of you out there witnessed what you think was someone coming out as an imposter? Raise your hands. Oh, not too many. Okay. No, that's almost everybody, right? Doesn't that feel better? Just to come out as an imposter. Does anyone know who said this? Oh my God. So the person who said this right before they died, and they were really amazing, actually. We've probably heard of them. They did come up with some really interesting things that changed the way we see the world. It was Albert Einstein. So clearly this is something that doesn't just afflict those of us who, like me, have no reason to be up here, but afflict people who have actually done really amazing things in their lives. This one's a little different. It's actually an animal dressed as a vegetable, not another animal. And it's a cat, not a dog. So I want to talk, I just want to speak directly to the rising stars in this room. And I'm actually not going to really give you any advice, because actually what I wish when I was a rising star a year ago, the kind of advice I wish I had gotten, is rather than advice, just someone saying, look, I feel like an imposter too. I feel like a beginner in what I'm doing. I'm a noob. And I'm not necessarily the kind of bulletproof expert that you might think I am. You know, we see these talks at GDC. They're so amazing. They're so good. They're so polished. I've been blown away over the last couple of days. And it just leads to this impression that these people are so well put together. Their slides are really well designed. And their ideas are like incredibly watertight. But that's actually probably not the case. I think their hearts are probably bouncing around in their ribcage as much as mine is right now. So maybe instead of us acting like we're experts and being experts in this field, we can take a moment and we can kind of remember what it's like to be a beginner. In fact, being a beginner has definite advantages. There's this idea called the beginner's mind from Zen Buddhism. And it's the idea that you're kind of open to many possibilities. In fact, Shunryu Suzuki said this, and I think this is kind of amazing. The fact that in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the experts there are few. And this actually relates a lot to games, right? When you're first starting out and you're playing a game, you're kind of trying to figure out all these different strategies. And the world seems incredibly open. There's all these possible things that you might do. And when we make good games, oftentimes they may have lots of choices for the player and lots of potential strategies. So we're always beginners. You know, even if we're at the highest level, we might be a beginner at that level. I think this is really important, right? And I think if anyone's going to understand that, it's us, because of the field that we work in and that we live in and that we play in. And failure is a big part of it, and I think that's something also that we could really kind of just talk about more. Not sexy failure. There's been a lot of sexy failure over the last couple of days. But like the really messed up, unsexy failure, it's like, yeah, the project never got off the ground. It never happened because of this or that. My friend Jesper Juhl talks about failure from the perspective of the player and how the player processes failure. And the idea is that if there's failure we feel responsible for, right, it's kind of a bad feeling. It's like, oh, it's my fault, right? But the thing is, when we succeed, we feel really great, right? So if we fail and we feel responsible for it, that's tough. But when we succeed and feel responsible for it, that feels really good. So my hope here is that we can take advantage of some of the failures that we might have had. Maybe we can share some of them over another glass of wine and really talk it through. The other thing I was just going to say, another kind of common concept in game design that can help us think through some of these ideas about being an imposter and being a noob forever in our fields, is this slide that every single person shows. I don't know how many times at GDC I've seen the flow slide. This is from Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote this incredible book called Flow, about this state of like complete engagement and total happiness in the activity that you're doing at the time. So this idea is that you're kind of in this channel between challenge and skill, and you're not anxious and you're not bored, but you're somewhere surfing in between, right? Well, I would call this channel maybe the imposter channel. Right? Where you're kind of not sure you're supposed to be here, but you're going to do your best anyway. And you're going to try to disguise yourself as that all-knowing, kind of smart and put-together person that you can. You're going to do your best to wear the best fashion you brought with you. So I just want to encourage all of us to feel good being imposters. In fact, this cat is a terrible cat. Right? Everybody is like really complaining that this cat is not good. It's too oily, foldy, sticky. It's got straw in it. It's just a terrible cat. But this cat doesn't care, right? This cat is totally okay being a terrible cat. It doesn't even care that it's an imposter. In fact, it hardly knows that it is. And I just want us to take a moment and embark on this journey together to create a community where we can fail, where we can come out as imposters to each other and be okay being beginners. So, rising stars, stay rising. Thanks, everybody.
That's why she's awesome. I got nothing. It's just fantastic, and what a great message. And it's like you look around the room and you have people that are running studios and the head of Xbox, and students who've never had a paid job yet before. So just the diversity and of just people in their careers here is just, it just spoke great. That was really great. So we're gonna keep it going. We have more greatness to come. We have Abby Lee, and she's gonna talk a little bit about innovation, and she works on an incubation team at Microsoft. So she's responsible for building awesome future entertainment experiences. And if you've seen the Microsoft HoloLens, which is like, what? That's her team. So she's going to come up and talk a little bit about innovation. So
great. Hi, everybody. So as Tina mentioned, I'm a studio manager for the LXP incubation team at Microsoft. And our job is to find the future of interactive entertainment experiences. We did it with Connect when I was a part of the Good Science team. And most recently, we've been working on HoloLens. And what we found over the years is that there's some core team values that we really need to have to deliver innovation on a regular basis. So that's what I'd like to share a little bit about today, is our culture of innovation. Now, where does it all begin? For us, it begins with the ideas. No idea is too big or too crazy. We want to hear all of them, and we really encourage every single person on our team to share their ideas and their perspectives. We really, truly believe that great ideas come from anywhere. And so as important as it is for everyone to participate in the process, we also really want to make sure that everybody is really open and really good listeners, that they're not tearing each other down, but they're really building on each other's ideas. Now, how many here in the room are introverts? Anybody introvert? Yeah? Oh, wow, there's a lot of introverts here today. Welcome. So I am also an introvert. So what you guys are witnessing right now is my greatest nightmare. I really hate it up here. I'm very self-conscious. And actually, that's a picture of me in 5th grade, and that's how I always feel like inside. It's me, this little kid that was so shy, used to hide behind these Coke bottle glasses, right? And then to make it worse, when I first joined this team, I was an associate producer who had only shipped games as a tester. So I was like, who wants to hear my ideas, right? But I was really grateful because this team was really awesome about really being proactive about getting my ideas and listening to my feedback. And what I really found is that there's only 2 kind of reactions to my ideas. The first one was, oh, I was thinking that too. That's cool. Let's work on that together. I'm not a total moron. That's awesome, right? And then the second one was, oh, that's really different. That's really cool. I've never heard that before. Can you tell me more? Now, as it would turn out, in innovation, different is really good, right? We need different ideas so that we're not building the same games over and over again. And what I really realized is that it was really my responsibility to work on my point of view and my ideas because, you know, for my team, for the product, for the users, it makes everything much richer when they actually have a diverse team working on these products together, right? So that's what I'd like to challenge all of you to think about, is that all of you have such great ideas. You may not know it, and you may not be comfortable sharing it, but how can we challenge each of you to be comfortable sharing just one more idea every day and speaking up a little bit? Because really, the innovation from our industry is going to come from this room today. Now, what's next? We have all these great ideas. We do a lot of experimentation. Because the only way to know if your idea is good is to experiment. And one of my #1 pet peeves is when we spend more time talking about whether an idea is good than the time would have taken to actually just go try it out, right? And it can be just quick and cheap and easy. It can be a gray box level, a storyboard, anything to communicate your idea and just start getting any kind of learnings. So let me give you a quick example of what we did on our team. I remember the very first brainstorm I was on for Connect was, what would be an awesome full-body gaming activity? And we brainstormed all of these crazy ideas, and you know, everybody had a lot of heat around like kickball, handball, something like that. We all had a fun grade school memory of that. So what did we do? The very first thing we did was we went to Toys R Us, and we bought 10 different kinds of playground balls. We got basketballs and soccer balls and little red rubber balls. We went out to a field, and we started chucking them at each other. And people were like punching them and like ninja kicking them, and it was really like a really fun experience. And we started writing down all of our observations. And I remember 2 observations. One was gravity really sucks. It's way more fun when balls can go flying off in the air. So we're like, okay, we have to make sure that things don't just dribble on the ground. And the second one was, it's really important that we make sure that everybody feel powerful. Because I'd gone out there with all these really big guys, right? And they could kick the balls like way out in the outfield every time. And sometimes they got out there, but a lot of times they didn't, right? And I was like, oh, I feel really sad inside. And we're like, we're building something for everybody, so everybody needs to feel powerful. And that was a really key point for us. So, you know, we had just taken one afternoon to do this prototype. And then we went back to our team and started actually building an actual game, you know? And about 4 weeks later, we had a little game that had a little room with a red rubber ball, and you could hit it, and it was really fun. Another 4 weeks go by, and we add art and a scoreboard, and you know, I'm the leaderboard champion of this game called Ricochet. And then we started shopping it around. And what happened is it actually ended up getting selected as the demo to announce Project Natal to the world. So I always really loved this example as something that we did something really quick, cheap, dirty, easy, so that we could really get to that magic quickly, rather than doing a really expensive prototype and taking months to get there. Now, the funny thing about prototyping, though, is it's the first time that you put reality in the process, right? So you guys can have a conversation and say, hey, let's build flying elephants. This is an awesome idea. And then someone's going to go, yeah, that's impossible. And then you're like, oh, okay, we should just move on. Let's not build flying elephants. Well, listen, if we're only building things that are possible, then we're not innovating anymore, right? We're just iterating. And you have to assume that if you're iterating, someone else is also already solving that problem. So you have to be willing to go for those big ideas. On our team, the word impossible is 100% banned. Things can be very expensive. They can take a lot of time, a lot of people, a lot of crazy partnerships, but it's probably not physically impossible. Instead, we always focus on what is the best, most magical experience we can give the user. Let's always agree on that first, and then let's go build a prototype after that. Because the reality is, if your prototype is awesome, and everyone's like, this is super sweet, then you're going to go get the executive buy-in and the partnership sign-off to actually get over any production challenges that you might have. So let me give you an example of how that worked out for us. When we had shipped Connect, we started brainstorming what would be another cool user experience to have for the Xbox 360. And one of the ideas that we thought was really cool was, can we make a multiplayer game that would be fun with the Xbox 360 and the Windows Phone? So we had gone to go talk with those platform teams and said, hey, is there an easy way for us to prototype this? And they're like, oh, that's super cool, but there's no easy way for our platform to be able to do this. And we're like, oh, nuts. Well, we really like this idea, so what are we going to do? We hacked together a little prototype. It took us about 4 weeks. And we made this little multiplayer game with that handball game again. And we're like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. So we made a little video. And I remember that this was actually in December, because it was right before the holidays. And we sent it off for people to review. By February, Steve Ballmer was at the Mobile World Congress. And as a part of his keynote, they showed a video that was showing the future of Xbox 360 and Windows Phone working together. And it was a video of our prototype working for real on Xbox 360 and Windows Phone 7. It worked, right? And then a year later, we shipped Smart Glass, which actually let you control your Xbox 360 using your phone. And so I always love that example because we weren't deterred by what was currently possible, but we're like, oh, you know what? Let's just go show the potential. And if people believe in it, then it'll happen. So believe in the impossible. Now, here's the reality, though. And it's funny that you talk about failure as well, right? You are never 100% correct. There's no part of the scientific process where everyone's always right. And so it's really important for us as a team to really embrace failure. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is we're doing a lot of really new things. And what we don't want is to only share our successes and then everybody falls into the same traps and pitfalls that we are, right? Like, that's just irresponsible. And so we make sure that whenever we share our learnings, that we share both of our successes. And hey, here's what didn't work, and be transparent about that. The second thing is we don't want to have shame and blame as a part of our process. Because the reality is, if someone knows that they're going to get dinged on their review every time they take a big risk, why would I take a risk anymore, right? I'm just going to go and take all the safe features, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And that's what we don't want. We want people to be comfortable with taking the big risks and going after the big ideas. And so, and really, most of the time when things don't work out, you can make lemonades out of lemon. Most of the things that don't work out are not so terrible that you can't reuse them somewhere else somehow. The way that we best show our commitment to embracing failure as a leadership team is making sure that we plan for failure. I know that sounds crazy, right? But we plan for it. We have experimentation time that, you know, when times get tough and you have too many features and everyone's looking for time to cut, and that's always the first time to cut, man, that's where all the magical goodness is. And so we really try to protect that as much as possible. We do that in 2 ways. One is we probably spend a lot less time doing planning and design up front because we know that as we experiment, we're going to learn new things and throw all of our design out anyways. So we just do a lot more execution and design as we go. And the other thing is we actually have dedicated prototyping time where it's clear to everybody that the goal is not for us to be 100% successful. I might say, hey, you have 6 weeks, you have 10 features, and we're killing 2 features off every week, and we're only going for the gold nuggets. And so everybody knows, oh, I'm not trying to build 10 perfect features in 6 weeks. I am just trying to get to those super golden nuggets, and let's just fail fast, and if it's not magical, be okay with moving on, right? So really, as a culture, we really believe that in the scientific process, and then, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's okay. So that is just a very small preview about kind of what our team is like and how we really like to have that culture of innovation. I have to say that, in the 5 years I've been working on this team, it's been really fun. I've gotten to see some really cool things get made. But also, as a new mother, it's a really hard thing for me to make that decision to go back to work and leave my child with a complete stranger. And it makes it a lot easier when I know that I am working on a team where not only are my ideas really valued, but I actually get to see them come to life every single day. And so I feel like I really believe in these team values. And what I want all of you guys to think about is actually our team motto here, which is create without fear. How can each of you guys go back to your teams and go and create without fear? Whether it's being fearless in the ideas that you guys are willing to share with your team members, or is it being bold in experimentation, trying out ideas that you would normally be uncomfortable with? Because again, I really believe that this room here represents some of the best ideas that will hold the key to innovation in gaming in the future. Okay, thanks.
I think it's time for another toast, but this time we're just going to toast if you have failed in the past. Just toast if you failed, so we can all see that everyone in this room at some point has failed, no matter what level you're on. All right, we're going to keep the focus on innovation, and right now we have Amy Robinson, and she's got experience in crowdsourcing, but she's also the executive director of EyeWire, which is a game where you try to map the brain. I have tried to do this. Not very good. I have failed at this one. But I've done some YouTube tutorials to hopefully get better at it. So she's going to keep the innovation talk, and let's welcome Amy to the stage.
Thank you. Hello. We've learned more about the brain in the past 10 years than in the previous 10,000. That's really saying something. 10,000 years ago, you could hardly call human civilization a thing. It was more like civilization. Think about it. The 3-pound organ that sits behind your eyes is arguably the most extraordinary thing in the known universe. It's not only responsible for all innovation, from gaming to cities, but for our ability to interact with one another, to perceive the world and contemplate ourselves. And one of the things that I find most amazing about what this amazing little organ can do is generate shared experiences for us. You guys are probably very familiar with this, being in the gaming world. But think about it. Think about a time that you've been standing around with a group of friends and someone tells an amazing joke and everyone erupts into laughter. When you really think about it, that's one person using language to confer kind of a shared ironic state in conscious things that are completely independent of one another. Or think about cinema or immersive gaming. I know you guys all know this scene, Jurassic Park. He's in the kitchen, the velociraptors are there, tapping the spoons. It's pixels moving on a screen, it's audio coming out of speakers, it's CG animals that have been extinct for 60 million years. But yet that still is enough to make you feel afraid, give you a jolt of anxiety. Why? How does the brain do that? We don't know just yet, but we're getting there very fast. The brain is kind of a world. You're complex enough to be. Luckily for us, we live in a time of exponential innovation, not just in neuroscience and biology, but also in imaging, in computer science, and in data visualization. And it affords us an unprecedented view of the organ that makes us who we are. So this is a visualization from Adam Gazzaley's lab at UCSF. They're right here. And this is showing some of the incredible activity that's happening in the brain at any given time. So whether you're having an in-depth conversation or sitting around daydreaming or sleeping, doing nothing at all, there's a lot of activity happening within the brain. Different electrical impulses moving from the outside to the inside. And neuroscientists are beginning to understand how changes in the wiring of the brain result in changes in function. For example, there was a really cool project that came out of MIT where they found that they could reverse the emotional associations of memories. It was all over the news. But what the media kind of missed, and what I found very interesting, was that they kind of identified this kind of segmented part in the amygdala. It's a part deep in the brain that's associated with fear and emotion registration. And they found that there's a part of it that's associated with negative emotions, and another part that's associated with positive. And that, to me, means not only can you, change the emotional context of your environment, but if you choose to view a situation, a difficult situation as a challenge instead of a threat, it actually changes the way that your brain encodes the memory of that information. And then in the future, when you encounter it again, you're gonna interpret it and interact from it in a completely different way. And this is, I only have 10 minutes, so I can't go deep into it, but neuroscience is amazing. And the brain is made of neurons and lots of different types of cells. There are a lot of different types of neurons. Actually, we don't even know how many there are in the brain. But the nature of the neuron is, that they live together, right? So neurons have these incredibly intricate branch structures. They're kind of like plants, and they're just as diverse as what you would see in the plant kingdom. And actually, if you lined up all the wiring of all the neurons in your brain, it would stretch over 2 million kilometers. That's enough to go from the Earth to the moon 7 times. It's very small, it's very intricate, and the reason that these neurons are so branched is because the nature of a neuron is really to connect, to reach out and form synapses with other cells. These are junctions, one of which you're seeing here. There are about 100 trillion in any given brain, and they're changing all the time. If you remember anything that I've said in this presentation so far, it's because your brain grew new synapses. And this realm, this is the nanoscale. It's zoomed in 1 million times from the reality that we work in. And this is the realm where I work. So I work in I've been with a computational neuroscience lab. We were at MIT, and now we're a collaboration with Princeton. And our goal is connectomics, so we're trying to map the brain at synaptic resolution. So we're principally AI, trying to automatically analyze 3D objects from within image data. And this is important because neurons encode information at the synaptic level. And if we want to understand how the brain does what it does, well, we need to map it. And we know very little about this level of detail within the brain. And that's because it takes us so long to analyze anything. We're talking like 50 hours to map one neuron. 50 hours. That's with the best software in the world. And so that's why our group also now builds games. So we've launched a project called EyeWire, actually a couple of years ago now. And it's a game to map the brain. So I don't really have time to map a neuron for you guys on stage, so I'll just give you a high-level overview. We have almost 200,000 players, and they come from 160 different countries. And the game is currently available in English and in Hangul Korean. At any given time, there's about 80 people online, and our top players will spend 40 or 50 hours a week in the game. And it's a vibrant community of gamers. It's kind of a 3D puzzle game, and the players come from all walks of life, ranging from students to retired grandmothers to tugboat drivers in Egypt. Really, that's one of our top players, Mohammed. So it's an incredible project, and it's a game, and it's more than a game. It gives us the opportunity to really share the beauty of the brain with people from all over the world. So this is a video from last year's TED conference, and this guy is using a Kinect. This is actually made possible by Microsoft Research, and he's flying through a circuit of neurons they're rendered thanks to gamers. And here's a kid who's using the DK1, flying through a circuit of neurons. We've evolved from this, but it affords us this opportunity to make science that's possible because of the world available to the world. And it's also presented us with some interesting conundrums. We are told this is not a game, that it's not fun, that this is glorified lab software. So we've taken some advice from you guys in the gaming world, and we built this sci-fi backstory. So in future versions of this and other games, we'll basically have intergalactic alliances battling to extract extra-dimensional objects from tears in the space-time continuum, and we have all these characters and all this level design, and it's made us realize that we have no idea what we're doing. No idea what we're doing. We are exploding kittens. And so that's why I'm so honored and happy and delighted to be here with you guys, because neuroscience needs your help. this is a big challenge. You know, understanding the brain is arguably the greatest quest, the greatest journey, the greatest adventure in all of human history. We are poised to answer questions that have risen in humans' minds ever since we were able to call ourselves humans. And there are not enough neuroscientists in the world to make a significant dent in this. And wouldn't it be something if gamers, if the gaming industry came to the rescue, helped us figure out how to get past data bottleneck analysis problems in neuroscience? That's where the scientific hurdles are these days. You know, we're contacted by lots of labs all over the world that want us to figure out how to gamify their software, and we're 7 people with a neuroscience background, no experience in the gaming world. And so I would like to invite you and challenge you and beg you to think about science, to think about neuroscience. And if you have a big studio or an indie studio, or if you have any interest in the brain and some experience building games that are actually fun, you know, please contact us. Thank you.
So I have to be honest, how many of you were sort of sitting back and being like, she is so smart? Like, whoosh, that would be me. Awesome. All right, next up, we have Robin Hunicke, and she's going to talk about ambassadorship. Woo, we all know Robin. We love Robin. She co-founder of the independent San Francisco game studio Funomena, as well as game designer and producer by trade, worked on The Sims and Journey. Rich history in games. Let's hear it for Robin.
Hi, everybody. Woo! I love science. I love science so much. It was so fun. Thank you so much. So I'm first going to figure out how the clicker works, which I think I do this. So this is what I'm here to talk to you about today, advocacy, being an ambassador. When I started thinking about this topic, as you know, I've thought about it a lot. And I'm not really sure what it means to say, I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate. I'm an ambassador. What does it mean? What does it mean to say that you are bearing a message for other people, that you are trying to convince people to do something different, that you're trying to build a bridge? How did I become an ambassador? How did this happen? I feel like an imposter. You're seeing a theme. Those of you who know me know that I started out my career in game development as a curious 8-year-old girl, interested in Legos, Star Wars figures, large-scale G.I. Joe, really serious stuff. My research took a turn towards building forts, playing tag, and then I moved on to the Atari. And then it was all over. No, it's not true, actually. So my dad had a collection of coins that he had collected over the course of his travels as a sailor in the Merchant Marine. And I used to spread them out on top of their bed, my parents' bed, and look at all the coins and think about how someday I was going to get on a boat and become a sailor and sail off into the sunset and meet all these amazing people and see all their money, which was so cool to me at the time. I loved it. Some of it was plastic, some of it was metal, some of it was you don't know what it's made out of. And I loved the idea of being able to explore this whole world filled with interesting people. And so I was going to be a sailor. And then it turned out that I'm terribly seasick. So then I was like, well, you know, my mom's actually an amazing maker. She's a weaver, and she's a seamstress, and she could build stuff. And my dad's also a carpenter. And I spent a lot of my young years building stuff in the basement because I grew up in upstate New York, really close to Vermont, where it snows a whole hell of a lot. And so I thought, you know what, maybe I'll make stuff for a living. Maybe I'll be an artist. And so I started thinking of being a photographer or maybe a painter. I took some classes. I even got a scholarship to go to art school. But I felt like I didn't have enough to say. I wanted to change the world a little bit. I wanted the world to be a little bit different. And my dad's engineering background was an inspiration to me. Started thinking about maybe I'd do something else. Or you know what? Who knows? Maybe I'm going to be a poet. I was a pretty emotional teenager, and there were times when I needed to communicate with other people the true gravity of what it feels like to be a sensitive person. Some of those times have passed. But, you know, I always had an interest in narrative and personal narrative as well as, you know, sort of professional and social narrative. And I ended up taking some classes at school and becoming a programmer, learning how to, you know, use the computer to communicate. Then I started looking at AI and robotics, and as we know, science is amazing. Robots are amazing. And then suddenly I got in touch with some people that were making games, and someone said to me, you sound like a game designer. That person was Will Wright, and I ended up getting recruited out of the games industry, or out of graduate school into the games industry, and becoming a game developer. What? You know, like when I look at my life, the lack of a plan is so obvious to me. I had no idea. It's just, this is it. You're looking at it. That's my next 20 years. So I never really knew that I wanted to be a developer until I became one. So when I think about that, like, I became an advocate the same way. Like, just following my heart, just following my gut, just following my brain, I became an advocate organically over time in the little choices that I made every day. It was not a plan. I did not plan to be up here on stage giving this talk. It was just totally random. But it wasn't really random. I believe that it was powered by attitudes and behaviors that I have that are inherent to me and that I've adopted over the course of my life by patterning myself after people that inspire me. I am extremely positive. I am the kind of person that says, why? And then I say, why not? You know, and my life is full of people, some of you in this very room, who have always encouraged me to try new things, and when I say why not, to go for it. You know, it is not that hard to be positive when you believe in yourself, but it is hard to be positive when you don't believe in yourself, and I don't always believe in myself, but my positive outlook always comes to the rescue along with all of you. If I can do it, so can you. I have a growth mindset. I believe in being a child forever. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. However, I'm a professor, I am a CEO, and I'm a fabulous lady. So, even when I have a roadblock, I focus on what that learning is going to teach me about my next challenge. And as we've heard today, by adopting the positive outlook and a growth mindset, every challenge I face is just another mountain I got to climb. And I'm pretty good at climbing mountains now. And I have a fantastic group of friends who are also fantastic at climbing, conquering those mountains. I am a researcher. I love learning. Because I have a growth mindset, I pick up books about stuff that I don't know shit about. And then you know what I do? I totally fake it. I read them, and then I go around talking about them like I totally know. I'm an evangelist of new stuff. I love to read about feminism, human dynamics, social dynamics, culture, economics, the dynamics of society, AI. I love science fiction. You know, once you start really looking out there and you research things that are just interesting to you as a curious kid inside, you can become an advocate for all kinds of ideas, things that you're never going to get good at. You know what's really cool? Astronauts. You know what I'm not? An astronaut. I don't have time to be an astronaut. I'm too busy being a fabulous lady. But sometimes I end up on stages like this, and I'm like, you know what you should do? You should read the book called Thanks for the Feedback. In that book, the philosophy is, there is one job that all of us have to make the world a more peaceful and lovely place. It is to get better at taking feedback. Let's not worry about how we deliver feedback. Let's not tone police. Let's not be worried about what we say. Let's listen better and think about what we hear and take it on and own it. That's a great idea. I didn't come up with it, but I tell everybody that I meet today, read that book. Read it. I'm an educator. I love to be on stage, as you might have noticed, and to teach people things, especially young people, and inspire them so that they can teach me. When I decided to become a professor in addition to being a CEO, people thought that that sounded crazy. But the truth of the matter is that I do the same thing at my job as I do at my other job now, which is I try to inspire and listen and help people find the best in their own ideas and bring those things to life in the real world. They don't have to be video games. It could be anything they want. But as long as it's theirs, it's making the world a truly better place. Last but not least, I am a connector. I spend a lot of time talking to young people, young women and men from all over the world about what their vision is. And then when I hear something that reminds me of someone else, I try to put those two people together. I shake hands and I hold hands. I listen. if you're having a shitty time, if your company's on the rocks, if your relationship's on the rocks because your company's on the rocks, if your game's on the rocks because your relationship's on the rocks, because your company's on the rocks, I will try to make time to listen to you. Not all of you, no. I'm not saying that I give away all my time for free. But I do make time for people when I can see that they're hurting, and if I don't have time, I find them a friend. Being a connector is something that we can all do. I didn't learn how to do it from anybody. I learned how to do it from everybody that's helped me. I am a positive, growth-oriented researcher and educator and connector. What's missing? I'm also a maker. The things that I make convey the values that I have. And I've worked really hard in my life to be an ambassador and an advocate of the values that I have. Those values, I hope, are translated in the content that I produce and sell to lovely people like you and your friends. I'm getting better every year. And what does that mean for you? Well, I think that you may not see yourself as an advocate right now. You may see that it is not your job. But maybe what you do is you don't have to be a champion for diversity in our industry. You don't have to put yourself out there on Twitter and Facebook and yell and scream about how things have been and how they got to be. But what you can do is just what comes naturally, because each of you does this stuff all the time. Last year when I accepted this award, I said that I wanted the stage to be filled with all the potential ambassadors that we could have. And what if the one thing that came to you naturally was to just find one other person and flip them? Flip the bit. Make them do the work for us. Help them do the work for us. Ambassadorship and advocacy isn't just about being on stage and performing and being an extrovert. Sometimes it's about having a quiet, one-on-one personal conversation with a friend who has an unconscious bias that they've just discovered. You know, I just realized in this dinner I was totally fat-shaming this person, and I didn't even know, oh my God, my mother was such a fatphobe, oh my God. Just talk it through. A lot of us have things that we do unconsciously, myself included, that we need to grow past. Being an advocate and a true ambassador is about opening yourself up and sharing those things and then helping other people process them so they go away. Diversity, in case you hadn't noticed, did not become a problem last year. It has been a problem in society, in technology, in our culture for a very long time. Equality is difficult to get to. Diversity and equality and inclusion are not going to get solved next year. But every single day, by doing small things that come naturally to you and evangelizing those to the people around you, you make the difference. You are already ambassadors. And that is exciting. The answer to this problem already exists in each of us as a piece of knowledge that we can share, as a motivational, hand-holding, sensitive conversation that we can have with a friend, as a book that's laying on the coffee table that we keep meaning to make time to read, that inspires us and gets us to go out to a bar and talk about something other than our shitty day at work. It is really possible to make a difference just by broadening your perspective. And by broadening your perspective about what advocacy is, you broaden the advocates available to us. It is so important. Let's turn this word from a noun that you apply to me into a verb that you are all doing. Because I believe that through your actions, the smallest decisions that you make every day, the things you focus on, you advocate. Advocate the future you want to see. Make the next 10 years of this luncheon the best 10 years that we can have. Thank you.
How do you follow that? Just how important words can be, and really using this opportunity to network and connect. I think that was a great message. I mean, it's very rare to get all these people in the same room at the same time, so really make sure you make use of it. And I do think, I'm not sure, Robin, I didn't talk to you about your schedule, but the speakers are going to make themselves available afterwards for 10, as well as Robin, 10 to 15 minutes to answer questions. We're going to do a special presentation. We're done with the talks. I'd love to thank each and every speaker. It was just really inspiring. Thank you so much. Really terrific job. We're going to roll in a video about girls who code, and then we're going to come back and do a quick special presentation. So let's go ahead and roll the Girls Who Code video.
When I thought about coding, I felt like a nerd guy. Impossible, isolated, inaccessible, boring. Not for me.
It is sad that those are the words that I would associate with coding, which is why I'm really happy that I have this opportunity to change such a stereotyped mind. Coding has always been really foreign, and I've been told, I guess, by male guys, like, oh, Ria, you're going to be a doctor. Like, I guarantee you're not going to be a good coder. Someone said that to me before I started this program, and I told them, well, I'm going to prove you wrong.
In 2010, I was running for office and would visit schools and would see 100 boys in a robotics lab and then one girl in the basement of a church at a school in Queens using a computer that was 10 years old. And as we're becoming more digitally engaged and as technology is becoming more prestigious, we are pushing women out. And I wanted to do something about it, and that's why I started Girls Who Code.
In the back of my mind, I've always wanted to learn how to code, but for some reason, like, I was too scared to code in a class of like 19 guys. So when I saw that it was like Girls Who Code, immediately I knew like this is what I wanted to do over the summer.
So Grace Hopper is responsible for all of programming languages, and that's a woman.
Coding is like learning how to read or write. It's being able to take an idea in your head and put it down and make it into something real. There's very few subjects where a girl can come in knowing nothing, and when she leaves, she can say, I can solve this problem. I mean, that's empowering.
You're creating your own puzzle using several puzzle pieces, and you try to put it together to create your own pattern.
It requires a lot of creative thinking and a lot of, I guess, motivation. You know, you have to keep pushing forward. Like right now, we're working on a game, and we have been trying to get this one button to work for the past half an hour.
And once I figured out what went wrong, and once I solved the problem, I was so happy and so excited that I could do this, and I could solve the problem, and I can make it better.
Computer science needs to be disrupted because it's not just women. It's, you know, Latinos and African Americans and just all different kinds of people. People who like sports should be taking more computer science, and, you know, and they're not. I think what Girls Who Code is trying to do is disrupt the way that computer science is taught.
We asked all of our girls to build a project, and when I looked at what they wanted to build an algorithm to help detect false positives in breast cancer testing. They wanted to build a product to help fight obesity because a family member was obese.
I would love to be a neurosurgeon, and I think coding has the ability to change the way any surgeon operates in terms of prosthetics or transplant.
I mean, these are the problems that they want to solve, and that's why it's so important, because we don't even know what solutions we're not finding because women don't have access to technology skills.
All right. I love that video. So we've taken feedback from you all last year, and you said that you wanted to make investments into young women into the future. And so instead of giving gift bags out, sorry, there will be no gift bags, we've instead taken that money, and we're going to make a $10,000 donation to Girls Who Code. So that's really from all of you, which is awesome. To really show the investment into the next generation of women in this industry. So we're going to have Celia and Paige come up and talk a little bit about what this means, and they represent and they are from Girls Who Code. All right, come on up. Great. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, everyone. We're honored to be here. As you can see from the video, Girls Who Code is more of a movement. Our girls everywhere, diversity is something that we're looking for. We're looking for women of a young age, and we're looking to equip them with skills that can make a change in technology. These are women who don't have any computer science background, and we want to show them that you can take that coding skill and you can implement it in arts, sports, neuroscience, fashion. The opportunities are limitless. And so we've created this 7-week program where girls graduate from our program and they have the skills to make that change. Microsoft is equipping us to grow nationally. We have 57 programs this year we'll be graduating 10,000 girls by the end of the year who are going to be able all 10,000 are going to be able to code and make that difference in their communities. Microsoft is represented in 5 of our classrooms throughout the nation, from Seattle to the Bay Area to Chicago to New York and Boston. And so we're very, very excited for this year, as the donation will help us scale further for the next 10 to 20 years. And I want to introduce you to Paige, who's one of our graduates from last year, and she was at Twitter.
Yeah. Woo. Hello, my name is Paige Neff. I am a high school senior, and I am a girl who codes. Woo! Almost 10 years ago, I was first introduced to video games when I went to a friend's house to play The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion on her Xbox. The graphics at the time were stunning, and I had so much fun that I began to play other games. When I was in high school, it was my love for video games that convinced me to apply to Girls Who Code. I was extremely fortunate to be accepted. I learned so much about computer science, gained a tight-knit sisterhood, and discovered my passion for computer science. Near the end of the program, I and a few others for our final Girls Who Code project developed a game using Unity. We created the deep-sea diving game we imagined with a female scuba diver we designed. I hope to continue to combine my passion for computer science and gaming, which I discovered thanks to Girls Who Code and Microsoft's Xbox. Thank you so much to Microsoft for this donation and this opportunity to be here and speak.
Oh, great. Woo! Thank you, Salya and Paige. And again, thank you all for the great feedback, because the things that we're trying out, like this investment over gift bags, is happening because you guys have comments. And now we're going to welcome Phil Spencer, who is not a woman, but we still like him. He's going to come on up. He's a big advocate, and he's going to say a few words.
Okay, can you hear me? So I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to all the talks, and I'm thinking, okay, at the end of this, I actually need to get up and say something inspiring after those amazing talks. I have nothing to even come close to match what anybody said. So thanks, Paige. I think Girls Who Code is amazing. As a father of 2 teenage daughters, I see that, and it's incredibly inspiring and actually helpful as I have conversations with them about their curriculum of choice. The thing, also this event. So I've been coming to this event for quite a while. It's incredible in what this event's turned out to. Like, I can hardly even see the end of the room. I remember when this event, when Kiki got the award, and it was a small room, and what this has turned into really has nothing to do with Xbox's involvement. It is all about you and your advocacy of this event and what this movement means. So thank you for all of that. I will give everyone in this room a big round of applause for coming today, but also helping us grow the number of people who know this event happens and the network that I see that's in the room. So thank you very much for that. And the last thing I'll say before I get off the stage, as somebody who has been in this industry for quite a while and is in this industry to entertain and delight millions of people around the globe, I do believe it's incredibly important that the people who build our products, the people who are making our decisions, are representative of the customers that we want to have. And we want to entertain everyone. Definitely when we think about the culture that we have in our organization, it's something at Team Xbox that we all really hold on to. So, I look around and I think about what we want to do with the art form that we have, the impact that we can have on the planet, whether it's through neuroscience or just causing somebody to laugh while they're playing 2048 or something. I think it is a positive impact. So this diversity inclusion movement is incredibly important, I believe, to our industry, definitely important to us. And again, thank you for all of your work in making this possible. So thank you.
Pretty awesome to have the head of Xbox come up and be so supportive of this. So thank you again, Phil. I think that's it. We want to thank everybody for coming and taking the time out. A huge thank you. I've been working with Marta and Karen and Jennifer, and how awesome they, reached out more than 6 months ago, and the planning that they went, and how much this means to them is just awesome. So thank you all for being here. Have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of GDC.